It's 6 o'clock, so I guess we'll call this meeting, regular meeting of December 3rd to order. Please stand for the pledge. I
Allegiance to the flag. United States stands.
Jenny, can you please do roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Trustees Ants?
She's trying to get on.
Okay, no worries. Trustee Evans?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Winkleblack?
He's not on.
Okie dokie. Then Mayor Pro Tem Price?
Present.
Okay. And Mayor Wilcox?
Present.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, are there any changes or deletions to the agenda? Not that I'm aware It's not on the agenda. Sure. Have something to say?
I do. Name's T. Wilcox. I live at 808 Wagonwood Court, Collbran, Colorado. And I'm taking this really true to heart here. I want to make sure that the attorney hears this also. I received from Social Security with their watermark. I have been, the Social Security number has been breached. My Social Security number right now has only got 25 bank accounts for a total of 14 million. It's also known for money laundering violation of the United States Code. 2101, theft by deception, destruction of government property. I worked for the phone company for 25 years. I had inside outside first 5 states. I was responsible for my employees' their Social Security, which was kept in a locked file cabinet in the locked office. Now, I allowed any of my employees' Social Security number to get out. I would have been contacted by Human Resources, and I would have been terminated. Now, I understand there's a business customer here in town, business owner, that their Social Security number was put on the website. Once it's been on the website, social media, it doesn't matter what side it is, it's there forever. And I understand that what the town did, they only compensated for a 3-digit number. A 3-digit number. Now I had to contact the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. I had contacted attorneys. I have attorneys in Utah for my credit report. I have attorneys here in Colorado. I have attorneys in Texas, and New Mexico, and in California working on this issue. I'll find out. From the East Coast to the West Coast. My point I'm trying to make here, I'm going to about the police report, I'm going to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, trying to get this straightened out. You're given one Social Security number and you're born. Unless you're in the witness program or the other issue which they will not describe to me. Social Security, I went down there with my husband. They were shocked when they saw this. So the point I'm trying to make here is this business customer with Ruby Town awarded a 3-digit number. And LifeLock. Well, guess what? LifeLock. My Social Security number right now, LifeLock, has 2 males and 1 female. And you tell me how that can happen. So we're the ones who really try to him. So my point here, this town hall, and here is a business owner, a citizen of this community that pays taxes, and we're getting a 3-digit figure. It should be a 5-digit figure, it should be a 6-digit figure. And that's how I feel very strongly about. Because by the time my attorney fees I'm paying, it's gonna be right up in that amount. So do I take this very hard, very personal, to the heart? Yes, I do take it to the heart. This business owner should not have to be going through this, because you never know when this is gonna happen. It might happen a year. It might happen 3 months from now, but it will happen. And when it does happen, it's gonna cost this business owner quite a bit of money to get this going on. So how I feel about this right now, my feelings is, I understand that I wasn't here during that meeting. But I think the board needs to look at the situation, like I said. The one thing was with, I would have been terminated by the discussion right then, the questions asked. I think either the town manager needs to either resign or needs to be terminated, and that's how I feel very strongly about. But otherwise, if that doesn't happen, do something for this business owner. And that's all I have to say on that issue. The second issue I have. I came in and talked to the town manager, according to a few people on Facebook saying, you know, go down and talk to the town manager, which I did come down and talk to the town manager. I had a witness with me. And I asked, I said, okay, how many times can you sign up for 3 minutes? And that person said, you can sign up as many times as you want. I mean, I have 5 different items to talk about, so I gotta take 3 minutes. No problem. Okay, the next question is, I understand that a person volunteered for a position. Okay. So can I volunteer for any position? Well, yeah. So since the town manager said I volunteer, I'd like to volunteer for the town administrator. The clerk reporter, financial. Whatever. I'd be more than happy to volunteer my services with the knowledge I have. Now, with my all not being a I've also had to deal with the PUC, and I have to deal with the shareholders every month end on the 31st of the month. And I have to give a report to the shareholders and to the PUC and give a call back. So I do have experience. I'm more than happy to help. The problem is, there's just some of the stuff going on here that's got to stop. And the town people here are upset, and they don't want to talk about their back. So I thought I would speak up. Put a target on my back. I mean, I've already been taken, they were parents, right? What's next? So I have no problem being the person to speak out for these people that are trying to speak out. So that's what I have to say here. When you volunteer for those positions, the person that did volunteer, I'm volunteering for those positions. I do have experience. No problem giving you a copy of my descriptions. Now, the other issue was, when I applied and we lost the other 10 people, Shirley and everyone else, I wrote the job descriptions for every position here. I came in and asked for a job. I did not pay because of my health issue, it would be a liability behind the counter. In case I had a seizure spell and whatever I would have, I would be a liability. And you come in here, and who do you see behind the counter? Yes, is that not a liability to the town? Okay, well, I would like to answer someone can give me an answer on that sometime in the near future. Because if someone does get hurt, that is a liability to this town. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Lou Evans?
He's speaking for the hearing.
Okay. Okay. Approval of minutes from November 5th, 2024. And yeah, we'll start with that. Well, we'll combine the executive session in that too.
I move approval of the minutes of the executive session and the regular session of the Board of Trustees for November 5th, 2024 without corrections.
I think if we're going to use the transcript as a referral, it needs to be attached to the minutes when we click on minutes from the website, because it refers to the transcript the entire time. And I also think if we're going to use the transcript script and not take accurate minutes, that the transcript needs to be probably edited and names of who's speaking added. It has the initials this time, but it doesn't have initials of who's speaking during the transcript, and it did last time have initials of who was speaking. Okay, so I think that needs corrected, but do we have a second? We do not have a second, so we'll table this for the next meeting. Approval of the monthly financial report. Do we have a motion to approve the monthly financial report?
I move that we approve the financial report for November.
I do have a question about Christmas decorations for $4,700 some dollars. That was in the budget?
Yes.
Okay. And then there was $2,300 spent on the travel for 2 people to Ray, Colorado.
Yeah, that's correct.
Did you guys fly?
We
In
did.
a car?
Yes, I was gonna say, why due to a family caregiver situation that I have in the we were requested to attend by the school district and by the toll representative, and we got the grant, so I hope that was successful.
I guess I'll second to approve the financial report. Jenny, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Okay, the next item will be the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion to enter the public hearing.
I move that we enter public hearing for purposes of the 2025 budget.
I'll second that. Can we get a vote?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed. Public hearing entered in at 6:14 p.m.
You, did you want to make comment?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, well, we're open for public comment now, so if anybody has any comment. I have a question for Carla. We had over, it's later in the agenda, but over 30-some thousand, close to $40,000 in water tap errors, fee errors. Is that in the budget to cover those?
No, we did not at this point because we haven't made a decision. So, no, that will have to be addressed in next year's budget. We'll have to amend it.
All right. Kendall, do you have any discussion?
I was contacted about the the recall on one name being taken off, Clifton, I don't know the exact address on Spring Street, but that address in the early nineties, when Tom and Julia were going to sell that small red house with 2 acres.
Mr. Mayor, nothing to do with the budget. We're in a budget hearing.
Well, okay, yeah. I think we need to do things that make the budget as efficient as we can so that we can stick to it and know what to expect. And that goes right along with, so that we can get our projects done. I mean, I know we have some major projects with the mid-mile and the auditorium, so. And then we have a possible development, which the developer will incur most of that, and it will be billed by the town for, our employees to install taps and that sort of thing. But that's just what I'd like to see. So.
Question 2 on this resolution, that on every line of the revenues, the expenditure. That's greater.
Yeah. And that is addressed in resolution 12, where it talks about the remaining funds from fund balances. So, and it's also addressed in the budget letter, we talk about using reserves to complete capital.
This year, it looks like this year could completely bankrupt us. No?
Yeah, that's not correct, because I believe you'll notice in the fund balance summary, which is page 4 of the documents. Or page 57 of the larger packet, page 4 of the budget document. So if you look, we provide 3 years worth of information. So we start with our 2023 actual fund balance. We come up with our projections, what we believe will end the year 2024, and then the proposed budget for 2025. So all of those numbers are what flow into that resolution. Ultimately, as you see at the bottom, the ending balance, fund balance total at the very bottom, now 3.483, that is our reserves. So we have gone from starting 2023 with 3.831 in reserves, and we end 2025 in this budget projection with 3.483. So we are drawing down a moderate amount of reserves to fund some capital projects.
Right. But the auditorium price isn't in here, because it said that it'd leave us about $2.5 million after the auditorium.
So we did put in a reserve of $600,000 for a contingency for the auditorium. That is included in there.
Okay.
So that has been subtracted out of that number. We have made, and again, it is referred to as a contingency, and we've included language in the budget that says it will not be spent unless it's by remuneration. So that way you will still have the opportunity to do that. So I believe in an organization like ours, we do not have finance. The strategy has been, and I think it's a very reasonable strategy. You build up fund reserves, and then once you have an adequate level of reserve, you draw those down to the big projects. And that is exactly what the town has done for a number of years and continues to do. The only alternative to doing that would be to issuing debt or never completing. Because if you just waited until you had all the money to do a couple projects, then the construction and the escalation cost and inflationary costs exceeded. So I believe the town over many years of management fund money very wisely and able, because of that, able to do without financing the debt. Now, I don't know that we will always be able to do that. When we try to get those large infrastructure, whether water and sewer infrastructure, at that point, it is likely that the town will have to look at a debt financing arrangement, and that's another reason for trying to reserve is that we have.
So,
Can you talk about the mill levy, the proposed mill levy? And what you're proposing for a mill?
So the mill levy is governed by a variety of state statutes. And it is also capped at, without voter approval. Sorry, for something just popped up there. Without voter approval, it cannot be raised. And so it is at the historical level of 7.38 for the levy for the town. We are also limited by an annual cap of 5.5% growth increase and an inflationary increase. Those numbers are calculated by DOLA. They tell us what those are. We are below those numbers. Actually, our valuation is down to the point where our mill levy would exceed that 5% level. So we are capped out at our mill levy 7.3.
So is our mill levy going up at all with the result of this budget?
Mill levy is, well, again, the mill levy is more than it was last year. We put it, because last year there was a temporary tax credit and the mechanism was authorized by law to keep you under that statutory guidance. Again, as property values rise, now that is not necessary to have that property tax credit.
Thank you.
so what does this resolution 8 mean then? Resolution number 11, sorry. Certifying and levying the general property taxes for the year 2024.
So there is an official act required of the board to levy the property tax. So with adoption of this resolution, you set the town mill levy, which then is then transferred to, we report it to the county commissioners. They in turn give it to the county assessor, and they use that in generating the tax.
So this does up the residents' taxes if we pass this.
I don't know if I would characterize it, without it, there is no property tax, with it, there is property. So.
It doesn't increase it.
By the statutory limit, yes, it is increased, but there is also a higher valuation, so in terms of saying exactly what the impact is on an individual's property, I don't know the answer to that.
So we have to make a decision to increase their taxes but not have the details on it.
I wouldn't frame it up that way, but I don't call to explain it.
And I've had several citizens concerned about it, you know, since we, as a valley, you know, voted for the school. And there definitely has been an increase in our property tax from that mill levy. And so when I've gotten as a community from a whole, they don't feel that we should increase our levy.
If the board would like to, we can go back to the, I think it was a 0.2% reduction last year. We could adjust it by that same amount and offer that same temporary tax credit if that would be the board's preference. I think it would be a few $100s in terms of the town's budget. The property tax calculation, the entire property tax collected for the town of Collbran is less than $20,000.
Yeah, it's not much money. It's what the county collects and.
Right, but if you would be more comfortable, we can certainly modify it and reduce it by that 0.2.
Reduce the people's property taxes so they would not have an increase? Or it'd be less than an increase?
We would apply the same levy as last year. We cannot override the increase, the value. We cannot say it would not increase our property. What we could do is we can hold our levy. The thing that was left. If we would
To that, because the people are suffering, their properties values are going up and they're already getting taxed heavily from that. They're getting taxed heavily from the new school and I just want to give them a break.
Yeah. So then, we would modify the mill levy, and I think it would then be, and let me double check. I think it's a 0.2% reduction, so. Or 0.2 mil, let me be put lower than I'm thinking percent, so. 7.384, 7.184, I believe. So I can adjust the numbers accordingly. But I think we would need the entire board. Yeah, if that's a motion, I mean, if the board chooses to do that, yeah, that would be an option.
I don't think the whole board has to be here. It just has to be a quorum.
Correct. Yeah,
We have a quorum now.
and Gary has joined us.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, Gary. Looks like he's muted.
There we go. Hey, hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
You're good. Appreciate you.
In California traffic. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, are we actually done with the hearing part of this and are getting ready to move to the discussion portion of this?
We have to still vote, but we are in the discussion.
Well, then we need to close the hearing.
So it goes, we open the hearing and we take public comment and then we have discussion by the Board of Trustees. We need to vote on these things and then we'll close that public
You
hearing.
close the public hearing before you adopt.
Right, we entered we can't. Oh, we closed the public hearing before, okay, gotcha. Well, Lou, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. All righty. I guess this concludes our public hearing portion. Can I get a motion to conclude the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing for the budget.
I second that. Can we get a vote?
Yes. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passed.
I think that since the property taxes for this town only generates about $20,000 of our budget, that we should keep the mill levy as it has been proposed. I don't think that your taxes are going to be going up that much, a few cents, maybe a few dollars, but it's not doubling or anything like that. So that we can continue to do the things that we are doing for the town. Yes, I understand most everybody's property valuations went up, but the majority of the funds come from the county sales tax sharing, which means that most of the money that funds our budget comes from the citizens of Mesa County, not the town. And I think that the town residents should be paying their, even, as little as it is.
Well, you're right in that it may not go up much for the town and each citizen as far as the what they're going to be paying to the town, but the administration of the county and going to the assessor's office. And I mean, I've personally been down there because the state changed it, even though we live on a residential street, because we have a vacant lot next to us, supposedly, and then the vacant lot behind the park, tract A, they automatically zone those and tax those to the commercial, which is 20-some%, and that it more than doubled our taxes on those properties. So now I have to file to attach those because we've been using them for years along with our home, and which will help bring that back down to where it was. It'll increase our taxes on our home, but there's so many people that go in every year and contest their, the rise in their assessment. So, and we've done the same thing on the acreage that we own on the 40, which they adjusted accordingly for us. And but it's just another a burden as a citizen to have to go down to the county assessors and go through that process. But if you want to live within your budget, and you got to do everything you can to protect it, I guess. So,
Excuse me, which item are we on the agenda?
They're discussing upping the property tax, which we don't know how much it's gonna be. Resolution number 11.
11, all right.
We haven't gone over 9 yet, but they're talking about the increase in the taxes.
We're talking about the budget as a whole.
Okay. But we moved on from 9 and 10, we're on 11 now?
No, we're on 8.
8, thank you. All right. But I thought we just closed the public hearing portion.
Yeah, we're off 8, but we need to move on to 9 now. So do we have a motion to approve resolution number 10?
I move that we approve resolution number 10, series 2024, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Collbran, Colorado, adopting the annual budget and setting forth the expenditures and revenues for each of the various funds of the Town of Collbran for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2025 and ending December 31, 2025.
I second that.
Jenny, can we get a vote?
Do we need to are we done discussing this?
Yeah. I don't. Is there any discussion?
Text her, ask why he's.
Kendall or Gary, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't have anything to add.
I don't have anything to add either.
Later.
Any further discussion?
And by voting for this, it keeps the mill levy as it.
No, it's just the adoption of the budget. We have 3 different resolutions, right? We have, but rather than, the top.
I got it.
No, I mean, it's just to generate a different. Okay, for that. And I have that. Okay.
Okay, Jenny, can we get a roll call vote, please, to approve the budget?
You're on mute.
So sorry. Yes, ma'am. Trustee Winkleblack,
He's muted.
Sorry, I've got to unmute myself. Yes.
okay. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
The next item on the agenda is approved resolution number 11, series 2024, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Collbran, Colorado, certifying and levying general property taxes for the year of 2024 to help defray the cost of government for the Town of Collbran, Colorado for the 2025 budget year. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second,
Okay. So the amount, if we were to reduce the mill levy to the same level as last year, the amount of property tax collections that the town would not collect is 581.20. That would be distributed on around to every property owner within the town. Without reading. And I can't tell you an individual property tax.
So if we raise it to what you're suggesting, that's if we keep it the same as last year. Correct.
The difference between the mill levy as written in the resolution and the mill levy as of last year is 580.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's what I didn't understand in the budget, because the lines were like off by like. I thought it was like $2,500 increase, no?
Well, because there is an overall increase in valuation as well, new properties, new construction and things like that. And so those generate property taxes merely by the fact they can come into the sold. So now we reduce that number from say $2,500 using your number to $2,000.
So where it says general property taxes, and it says last year was, well, 2020, it's 19.5, and now it says 21.6.
That number would go to 21.1. If you were to modify the mill levy or reduce it by 0.2.
And that mill levy will be the same whether it's residential, commercial, as far as percentage wise.
So the mill levy is the same, the assessment ratio, which is completed by the county assessor.
Right.
is For each class of property.
Right,
And that is done by the county treasurer's office and a semi-annual appraisal cycle. And then those assessment ratios are also pretty much set by the state legislature.
right.
There-
That's what,
They're the ones who determine what our property value. You are setting them your proportionate tax upon that property value within the town.
right.
So if we don't approve this, what happens? It doesn't go up that $584?
If you're required to set them. So what we should do, if you want to modify it, is we should change the language in the resolution to reduce it to 7.384. And then establish that as mill levy for 2020.
Right. Gary, do you have any opinions?
no, not really. I mean, I'm just ready to go with the resolution. I'm good with it. I mean, no,
Okay. Any further discussion?
Well, it's like the proposed development south of the park. Until those become developed or a house gets put on them, the state, the taxes, the way the state has changed it. Mesa County really didn't have a choice, just like our vacant lots. So we'll see how that goes, but that alone will increase taxes for them, and that percentage of the mill levy will, I guess, bring in a little bit more income to the town, but just because of the size of the property and what the state puts on it as a commercial, because it would be commercial.
Because of and those may not be raised without the vote. So that 7.384 is maximum amount it could be.
Right,
Two properties get added to the property tax schedule. It is going to be 7.384 times the assessed valuation. It will automatically generate revenue. So just to be clear, so our levy, unless we have order approval, will stay like 7.384, depending upon what the board wants to determine. And then we'll then generate the amount. It won't just go up because of new construction, it has to go ratcheting up to the when they.
You have a question?
Well, it will go up because the value of that property will go up, and which means they collect more revenue.
But then they actually,
Without the minimum taxes, you'll collect more tax revenue is what the mayor is trying to say. Because now that property that was bare land that might have been worth 30,000 might be worth 500 times your 7.384. So in those future years, those properties would generate more revenue for the town than it didn't would generate from. I think that's what he's saying.
thank you for that clarification.
All right, any more discussion? Jenny, can we get a vote?
So we did with the mod, we did reduce by 2 or not?
As it's written.
Okay. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
No.
Mayor Wilcox.
No,
Trustee Zentz has joined.
Trustee Zentz.
Yes.
Can I? You have a yes for the vote?
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passed, and thank you for joining us.
yes.
Okay, item number 11, approve resolution number 12, series 2024. A resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Collbran, Colorado regarding the annual appropriation for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025.
all right, well, I move that we approve the resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Collbran, Colorado regarding the annual appropriation for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025.
Second the motion.
Any discussion?
Did we?
I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, they were quiet for a second.
Okay,
Yeah.
We're on item number 11, resolution number 12.
thank you.
And are we still ready for a vote call?
Does anybody have any discussion? I guess we're ready.
Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes,
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Zentz,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
yes,
Thank you. Motion passed.
Item number 12, approve the Mesa County Sheriff's Office animal services agreement. I'd entertain a motion.
Can we have the town administrator present this to us before so we know what what we are discussing?
So this is basically setting the fees if a dog is sheltered. Setting out sheltering the Mesa County Sheriff's Office taken over animal services. They are still in the process of working all of that out, but this either way, if the town needs an animal house, it has to be covered in cost.
Do you have a fee list or a copy of the agreement?
I do.
Was this in our packet somewhere?
It wasn't notes, but I faxed it in. It was notes.
So what is the fee?
$45 for each animal impounded at the Mesa County Animal Services, $10 per day room and board, $15 vaccination administered, $15 per day quarantine, $50 euthanasia fee, $50 for each trip Mesa County Animal Services staff makes to each location. $140 for each animal prepared, packaged, and shipped to the State Department of Health for rabies examination. This includes a $115 fee charged to the Mesa County Animal Services. I've seen every year we enter into an agreement, but why is it at times they won't help us, like when we had a vicious dog? Why wouldn't the sheriff department or animal control, despite that we have a written agreement with them, something I've never understood?
I cannot speak to a certain criminal call. I'm not in law enforcement.
So does it cost to enter this agreement or only if we use them?
Only if we use them, and I believe in the last 2 years, one animal has been sent down for stuff. Which does not happen very often.
I motion we approve the Mesa County Sheriff's Animal Service Agreement.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to clarify. So Melanie, on this, so the Mesa County sheriffs that are up in Collbran, if we have an incident, they would be the one that would take care of this animal. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so they're responsible for transporting that animal down to a facility in somewhere in Mesa County?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I just wanted that clarification. So obviously they've been trained. They have the ability to grab these animals up and take them out of harm's way, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
They do, sometimes they will, if the animal's owner has a facility, say a kennel, that can quarantine them, especially for, say, rabies, or if there's been a person bitten or another animal bitten, and they have a facility, many times Mesa County will say, okay, you have to keep that in there for 2 to 3 weeks or whatever. And then, of course, you have to provide documentation of rabies vaccination and your other vaccinations from the vet to them before they'll let you do that. That way the resident may not incur a bunch of expense, but it has happened in the past and cost as much as $500. But as our manager said, that's a pretty rare occurrence. So
Jenny, can we get, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
that's all right.
I was
Let's
just
get
saying,
more discussion.
so the town of Collbran has already employed the sheriff's department. They're already up here, you're already paying them. So now you're paying them again to remove an animal?
And transport them.
No, it's not paying them to do that.
Well, so rather than having them be here doing what they're supposed to be doing, now they're animal control.
That is by the sheriff's office, not by us.
So I'm not here, not listening to about you, I'm just questioning the whole scenario, because you're already out of employee. Shouldn't they be sending somebody else up here?
It's quite possible they would,
Do that job?
but we're not paying extra for that. What we are paying for is the housing of the. How they handle the call is not our direction, our direction. And the sheriff's going to reconfiguration now, Redwood Animal Service. But the sheriff has recently decided to segregate that into two different roles. Animal response and control and shelter. And this is the sheltering side of it, the animal control side. And then they may still send the person in the sheriff's department that's designed, that's designated animal control, they may send them here, but that's still under their law contract, but then once the animal in the shelter, then that's when the animal services.
I mean, that's something the town should be paying the sheriff to be here to be a sheriff. And then having to be sent to do animal control. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think they do that, they have to be qualified to handle it, sounds like they're just, kind of dispatching the call.
Yeah, it's the administration of it.
This agreement is only for services through Mesa County Animal Services. It does not, and it's for boarding, it's for care, quarantine, euthanasia. It's not for, transportation.
It did talk about animal-related enforcement, including handling dangerous drugs, stray animals, nuisance complaints. It will now fall under the Mesa County Sheriff's Office. This shift ensures quicker response and more focused approach to the, which I don't see any of that in this. Is that in it too, Melanie?
Part of it is and part of it isn't. The sheriff's office is undergoing a change with animal services. They have asked us to sign this agreement that says we will pay for the sheltering of our animals if need be. My guess would be, so they're still working out their processes. And then whenever they get those fully vetted, then I would assume we would look back at our ordinances and make sure that we match up so that they can continue to enforce the same laws here.
Did the sheriff prepare this, or is this what you guys prepared?
No, that came up with their announcement.
Okay, because it does say barking dog complaints will now be addressed through the Mesa County noise ordinance. So will the sheriff enforce those? It doesn't really say.
They will enforce them under the county's law.
Okay. Okay. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I do have a question. Barking, you're a piece of domain.
What?
What is the hours of a piece of domain? Is it 7 at night, or 10 in the morning, is it 10 at night, 7 in the morning? We were told it was 10 at night, 7 in the morning. Does the sheriff have to know that, or can you answer that, or?
If you want to.
It would be great to know. Piece of domain on the dog park.
So the Mesa County ordinance, there's two different, there is one that is for dogs and then themselves, and then there is a noise. There are two separate. Noise ordinance from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. There's a private facie noise ordinance, so anything unreasonable noise, private facie evidence to be enforced. Dogs is different. I don't know how to change with us taking over animal services. But essentially what we have now through animal control, which is a separate entity than us at this moment. Like 30 minutes within a 24-hour period of a dog barking is a dog noise. But that answer your question?
So there's no set time, then, is that correct? Because I've already been to court with my husband on regarding neighbors.
For dogs, 30 minutes within a 24 hours.
30 minutes, when did that change?
I think that has been the ordinance.
Yeah, pick up on that?
Well, when we had to go to court, of course, it didn't cost us anything. And the judge, the neighbors, tried to do several things, but the judge did say in court, I mean, he found him guilty and we told him to waive, asked to waive any fines or anything, but at any rate, he brought up the piece of domain from 10 o'clock PM till 6 AM so that people could basically get their rest if it was basically, I mean, a dog barking once in a while is normal. But to continually all night is a different scenario. A former mayor that is now passed used to call our marshal at 1, 2 in the morning and say, you need to go find that dog that's barking. Well, where is it? And she says, I don't know, but it's keeping me up and I can hear it in town. So, and that was one of the reasons that he resigned, because he kept getting calls from the mayor. But at any rate, that was our experience in court. Just because it was our health situation and they tried to do things, we moved to the opposite end of the house, bedroom wise, and into the basement. But so that's how the court turned out for them, and they still were very upset about it. So no, the neighbors that had to go to court because they pled innocent. I mean, they had an attorney. They spent about $500 to try and fight it and lost in court. So, which I believe would set somewhat of a precedence. I mean, most neighbors, they just try and get along, and they understand. Whether there's a dog in heat and other dogs getting out of there, jumping over their fences and trying to get to the other dog. But anyway, it's just a natural way of life, I guess, and we try and be neighbors, and we're a community. So in a sense, we're supposed to be somewhat of a family.
That'd be nice. Okay, we better move on, or else we're gonna be here till midnight. Jenny, can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Zentz,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Item number 13, authorize staff to negotiate an agreement for asbestos cleanup remaining abatement at the Collbran Auditorium in the amount not to exceed $460,000 with directions for mayor to review and sign the final agreement.
Good evening. I think most of you guys are familiar with me. I'm Derek with Asset Construction Management, then also with Asset, and then we have Mario Ortiz with Asbestos Abatement Professionals. So we're here to answer questions. Carla, I guess keep them open for us.
Sure, and we'll just, the asset team, started removing the roofing. They uncovered some additional asbestos containing materials that will need to be abated and removed by a certified contractor. And also because they already started the process of removing the roof, those materials are now considered friable, and therefore it is considered a spill, just the volume of it, asbestos containing material. So it was reported to the state. We then immediately vacated the site. We put signage up, and we had the professionals come in and cover the site, which is required of state law. Then we also brought in another environmental contractor, consultant, by the name of Basecon Environmental, and they did what is called a delineation report. So they determined what needed to be cleaned and, what the appropriate remedy is. And so once we had that report, then we visited with Mario and his team, and they had come in and done a small scale abatement. Now, you'll recall, we originally had a lot of asbestos in the building. We, had that abated in, I believe, May of last year. That was done through a bid process that we did last year. What we uncovered in July, I think, on this baby was a small amount, so we worked with they found asbestos professionals, and they came in and did a great job, did an immediate abatement for us. And so since we had worked with them, they did such good work, and they were also available, they came up, they're the ones who did the funding, it has to be done by this certified contractor. All of they're the only people allowed to access the site right now. So Martin has given us estimates to clean up the site and then also to finish removing the remaining material. And that is that total of $450,000. We know that's a painful number. We do want you to know, we have this tested and it was not identified in our first report. So everybody was proceeding in good faith, and it's kind of the nature of the beast. I think when you deal with an old building like what we have, you're gonna find stuff. And unfortunately, that is what we found. You know, things like, you know, you might come into a piece of, you know, but that doesn't mean a lot of them. And literally what happened, they just didn't touch it when they did the test. So now we are at the stage where we have to clean it, part of my state law. We reached out to the Department of Health to see if they had any financial assistance. They don't at this time. We talked with the insurance company, they are offering a small amount to help keep the building protected and covered until we, you know, are able to get it cleaned up.
Their small amount is what, 15,000?
Yeah, that is correct, $15,000.
Did we take that money?
Well, we will submit claims to them, for the carving and the protective services that the professionals are not doing for this to the insurance company, and they will reimburse us. So now we're at the point where we are going to have to make the decision about how to proceed. Again, we don't believe there is any alternative to cleaning up the site and removing the additional materials. We're going to have to do that regardless of whatever we do going forward. And
Already. I was just wondering, so the people that did the testing, are they not bonded? For incidents like this or not?
so we're going to ask Wilson, and he can address, I think, the legal issues on that. I don't know if he's prepared to do that right now. But the man who's going to be attorney is what I will just address that for me. So we have given you, and just again, what we are asking for tonight, we want to answer any questions that you have, make sure that everybody's clear on what's involved, and then we would like you to allow us to proceed with doing the cleanup. And then we want to frame up the discussion so that you can decide in the near future what you want to do. So we've kind of calculated the different costs, a demo versus moving forward on the project. It sounds, because of the grant that we have, would forfeit if we demo the building, it actually a little rush depending upon the ultimate decision that's made. There certainly is room again of moving forward the building, and that's what Jared is here to say. So that's what we're asking for tonight. Again, is answer your questions. And then we would like direction to move forward with the cleanup. And then we will come back in January and unless you're willing to give us an answer tonight, but we would come back to you for the future. And this is a horrible situation. I mean, we acknowledge it. It is an unfortunate aspect. I think we are all devastated in front of it. They, you know, they're not able to be in the project. It's hard for them and it's devastating for us, and we understand. We have put these folks up there. It's been there since, you know, time immemorial. It was always going to be that the town would have to deal with it at some point. It's just we're at that point. So. Yeah. Questions or?
Well, I'll just say it's a it's an unfortunate event that this board inherited this mess because the majority of the citizens, other than about 5 I've spoke to, are horrified at the cost of rebuilding a Quonset barn. And now to add $460,000, it's just.
And that's the same feedback that I've had as well. Plus, when I was on the board many years ago, close to 30 years ago, we had a study done at that time, and it was a different engineering company. But they mentioned to us that, you know, the foundation definitely needed work. And now the new one, you know, I don't know if it's stamped and certified, you know, so that they're bonded if something happens with our foundation. So that's also been part of the discussion besides this about this cleanup or rebuilding it, or it's not just the asbestos, but the foundation as well.
Well, regardless of what the final decision on as to completing the renovation or demolishing it, we have to clean it up. And even if we were to demolish it, we have to clean it up.
Right. That's no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a historical building?
Yeah, I mean, is demo an option because it is a historical building?
Donate it to the
So,
historical society and let them handle it.
Well, down and not for which, as I was told she stood at that podium and said she was gonna get even with the town for raising her taxes and give them that building.
I've heard that several times for 30 years.
Mhm.
I think we need to move forward with the asbestos abatement and get it cleaned up as quickly as possible.
I would agree. I don't think we have a choice. That asbestos has got to be removed in order to move forward with the project and just keep the community safe from the asbestos.
Well, and if there's vandalism or ice tears the plastic open and then it's blown out in the air, I agree with what you say, Lorraine, to protect the community.
Yes.
But like Carla said, it does need to be removed, but it's up to the attorney to see if they are bonded, if they cover it. Yeah,
I think we need to move forward with getting it removed. We can continue with the trying to find other remedies from the previous inspector as we're moving forward. Regardless, the town, it has to be done. And we can't wait.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we can pursue, you know, insurance or, you know, holding the other company accountable, whatever it looks like. That can be done as we progress, but I do agree we need to get it taken care of before it becomes more of a danger to the community.
Yeah, I'm on board with all of that because regardless of which direction we go, we're gonna have to pay for this amount of money to get all of this removed and taken care of. You know, I was never really much in favor of the restoration. However, you know, it's kind of like a wash. It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen the other. I don't really support us, you know, looking at a demolishment. You know, I look kind of going forward, but obviously we have to get rid of the asbestos and need to take care of that. And I do think we need to pursue the liability of the company that gave us the first assessment in terms of the amount of asbestos and what has come about since they did that. So that's kind of two different issues, and probably Wilson can address some of that.
Yeah, you know, in terms of the liability, there's a question of what the contracts with these various entities say, and then, you know, what was the actual reason why they failed to find the asbestos. Was this just were they negligent, or was there some other reason why they didn't find it? And so even if the town finds that there is a claim that you can bring against, let's say, the inspection company, it's still going to be another large expense to take that to trial, to litigate the issue, and to move forward in that regard. That's certainly something we can look into going forward. Melanie and Carla have provided me with the contracts, and I have at least started looking over the contract with the inspector and with Asset. At this time, we're not making any recommendations there, but if the board wants us to pursue legal action there, that is certainly something we can look into further.
Oftentimes with these small businesses, it can be years of litigation, and then if they do lose, then they just file bankruptcy and start a new business. So just so you know.
Okay.
Who started the restoration on this project?
It was approved by this board on July,
By what board?
by this board. It was brought to this board to proceed with the restoration of the auditorium in July of this year.
It was started before that.
No, we abated the interior asbestos prior to July. Through a grant through the CDPHE.
Okay, who initiated that?
The prior board, the staff. Because again, what was identified and it could have stopped there, and we would have, if we would have started demoing it, then we would have run into the same roofing material and had to do an abatement on it.
The historical society did not push to get this done. They did not bring it to the town board and ask for it to be done.
It's my understanding that, yes, they were involved in really, in 2017, this process has been going on, to the best of my knowledge, since 2017, there have been a lot of meetings and annual, Ms. Robbins was on the board. It has been a multi-step process. I believe the first steps were to have it placed on the Mason County Historical Register, and I believe that started in 2017. There was a historic structure assessment that was done. There have been, there were community meetings, the university technical programs did some community outreach. So it was, I believe, last fall that we applied for a CDBG grant in 2022, and then again in 2023, we were awarded it in 2023. Fall of 2023, the initial asbestos work was bid out based on the report that we that identified in materials inside the home. And everything that was identified was abated at that time. So the application for the CDBG was done by the planning board, but ultimately this board was brought the go forward with the construction management and remodel this building. That was done in July of this year.
Okay, but my question really was, who actually initiated the renovation on this building originally?
Prior boards.
The board did, or
Of the Historical Society.
Prior boards did. The Historical Society may have asked the town to
Right.
do something, but they did not initiate it. Prior boards.
board, and why did you initiate it?
I was not on the board. This was my first term on the board.
Okay. So Evans was on the board at the time? Can you answer that?
Then what was your question?
Who initiated the renovation of this building originally?
The board did.
The town of Collbran board did it.
Yes.
And why did they do that?
Because it was suggested from the historical society to work together to do this.
That's it right there, the historical society. Okay, thank you.
Because it is now a historically recognized building, how hard is it gonna be to demo it?
We don't know. That's our next step. We wanted to come to you and give you this information. What we will have to do now is we will go back to, we needed to get the question, so we'll go, we have to go back to CDBG and find out, now that this happens, is there anything that impacts the funding that they've already funded us? If we decide to go, we'll ask that question, is there any restriction or prohibition on it? We'll bring it back to you. Again, we're here to get the questions that you want to answer.
I don't, I feel like it's not an option to demo once it's historical, but I'll be curious to get that answer. I just want the board to be aware, this is the first big financial error. There's bound to be several more if we continue to go forward.
And how do you see this as a financial error?
It was overlooked by somebody. And it's costing us $460,000.
Well, and
Whose
the-
error are you?
The asbestos company.
Okay.
I would say like the inspector, they could have core drilled from the outside in to find out how many layers of asbestos, or friable material was in the prior roofing. Besides, the existing asbestos above the stage and stuff. And I assume once they did the roofing and whatnot, there probably was some contamination that came inside with the work that had already been done as far as being friable and in the air. So
Yes, it has filtered down through the review. And I don't want to put you on the spot. Anything you want to share about the,
Right now, it's covered up, it's not being bought out or anything. There's been plenty of rainfall to bring it down, it's not like a dry county or anything like that, it's pretty much a lot of moisture in there here, so it drops the fibers down to the ground right away, so I'm not worried about it traveling into the near houses or anything. It is on the property from material being moved around and stuff like that. We can get it cleaned up. And, we've done big projects. We just finished up Grand Junction High School, Grand Junction. We've done hospitals, they're active. We did St. Mary's, flooring jobs, stuff like that with mastic. A lot of those are a lot more, viable in those areas, and we passed with ease. And with our guys having our training and the years of experience that we have, we're pretty confident we get this cleaned up for you guys and take care for you guys.
do you spray anything, a foam material or anything before you break up the friable?
We use amended water. It's a chemical that stickiness to the water, so we have a mixture. Depends on what brand, but it's 5 quarts to a gallon. Not 5 quarts, 5 ounces to a gallon. And then there's some where it's a 1/4 ratio. It all depends on what brand we use for the amended water. And then, we all have our PPE on, our face masks and stuff like that. We use negative air machines that filter out the airs as well. And so we replace all the HEPA filters and all the secondary and primary filters when our meters inside are going off and letting us know what our air pressure is. We have to maintain a -20 pressure at all times. So
Yeah. No, it's similar to what we had to do with asbestos siding or asbestos ceilings and whatnot, doing repair, maintenance, installation, with communications. So
yeah, so we've done it all, from TSI to paneling on siding and stuff like that.
yeah,
Roofing bar, gradient tower, mastic, linoleum, fits and everything, and you'll be surprised, we've done a lot of fire orders, stuff like that. It's popcorn texture, drywall, it's in a lot of materials and, you know, even at my house, in my home, I have ACM materials in my house. My wife don't wanna get rid of the texture, because it's beautiful and. If I gotta go ahead, it's pretty cheap and. She's like, no, it stays. As long as it's not bothered, it's not in no farm.
So, and what we would propose is to continue working with assets, because the structural beams to reinforce the interior, that they will be placed inside and connected where the old wooden trusses are. Those were actually fabricated and they are in the yard here in Grand Junction somewhere. Those could then, I think, you know, once we get through the cleanup and we'll kind of discuss staging and things like that, but then they can get back in and finish stabilizing the building too, so.
The reason for the urgency on our ask for approval for this cleanup portion while we figure out the direction we head after this and present that in January. The reason for the urgency is one, you know, we are required by the state to act diligently, quickly. We want to stay in good standings with them, but also until it's being cleaned up, we've got equipment stuck on site that we're not allowed to take off. We've got scaffolding inside that's on rent. We've got fencing that's on rent, trailers on rent. So there's a lot of items that are current costs if we were to push this approval back into the month.
I move we authorize the town staff to negotiate an agreement for asbestos cleanup and remaining abatement at the Collbran Auditorium in the amount not to exceed $460,000 with direction for the mayor to review and sign the final agreement.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Where are you gonna cut in your new budget? You just passed $460,000 if you proceed forward with this.
We included a contingency for this already in the budget, so, yeah. I didn't, I said, I think 6%. Yeah, we did, we 600,000.
By state law, how long do you have to make your commitment to the state? 30 days, 90 days, 120?
You know, we had hours to do the fill up, so right now, we're on a timeline right now to get it picked up, but since it's been filled up, we're good. We're good for a little bit, so whether it's something that's kind of, you know, you probably think about your budget already fixing the containment here.
So is there a state 30 days, 90 days, 120, 3 months, 6 months?
I'm not sure that you're on the timeline on that. I think that we've been in communications with the state, just working through this process. We haven't been given a hard deadline on the start of the day ago. It's just, we need to be able to show them, you know, we took the next step as soon as we could. As soon as we found out, we vacated, secured the site, got him the cover and stabilized what was there. Immediately reached out, tried to find a company to get us a building agent on board. We've taken the next step as quick as we can. I think that's really what the state's concerned about, is showing movement and effort to get the point out. Yeah, the process, but they say that they're negligent, that's when they want to start there.
And you did a good job. Same here.
Any further discussion?
Which is really difficult. I really do want to see if we can reach the midnight mark, but is in this process also, is there any kind of factor with lead-based paints and treatment and cleanup of that?
So on the west facade, that's been repainted, that was tested for lead. We follow the state process, that qualified. That's a lead paint's a little different than necessarily. Yeah, that's a lot better than get real down to anything. There was lead paint on that west face, that was a big
Oh, thanks. So if they did demo the building in the first place, the original abatement cost plus this cost, would that be the total cost for demoing the building? Like, is that part of demoing the building?
I don't need a demo.
No, but in general, they would have demoed the building, they would have had this roof.
Yeah.
And it would have been abated if they demoed it anyway.
Yeah, so they wouldn't have allowed to start demoing until all the processes.
So the town would have been on the hook for all of that money anyway. Or the person that's long.
And if we would have decided from the start to demo, we would have picked the winner. I think we're getting better pricing for you guys.
Yeah.
Because it is an off season for special payment.
It's our winter season right now, so we have lower rates right now. You know, we got better sitting at home. A lot of people.
My point was the town's still on the hook for it if they demoed it or restored it, correct?
Yes.
May we have a vote?
Yeah, right.
Any further discussion? Yes,
I just remember, back in April or May, when the initial asbestos mediation started with Rockies Environmental. I believe that contract was around $78,000 or $80,000. And maybe they're the ones who kind of missed some things. It just seems like just a rather big number. And I don't know if the roof was part of the scope of the project. And I just remember their bid was substantially lower. So I don't know if we good. I know time is of the essence. Maybe we can't get any more bids, but. So I remember reflect total square footage of the bill. We do have to remove 200 foot of the whole parking lot and everything like that, and all the way around the building as well. That original cost was to remove the interior ceiling. They were able to do that on scaffolding inside set up. As far as containment goes, to do that scope of work, they had a relatively sealed building at that point. These guys are looking to remain interior, exterior, the building's been opened up. Also, but even over that curve through the winter, there's a power line running. There's a lot of extra challenges because they're not the interiors. Yeah, so by regulations, we have to have 2 layers of poly filling, 2 layers for walls, 2 layers for the flooring, and everything else we have all that. Plus have a 10 mil reinforced poly outside or a hard barrier, but it's cheaper for us to use the 10 mil poly than 2x4 and plywood and the whole building around it, and then put our walls and stuff like that, and then get started. So that'd be very close. We have to spoke to that we have to find it before we go hot and take up and do everything. And with the cold weather, you know, take up to everything cold. So we have to run meters inside and stuff like that. For everything.
And if the original abatement was done based on the scope of work that the previous inspector had given us. And that's where the rub is that they did not, the previous inspector did not adequately look at the roof. And their bid, I'm sure, would have been much higher if they'd had to do the roof as well.
Absolutely.
Carlos brought up the pictures. We can forward the gallery if you guys would like to see what he's looking at, and maybe you can give an explanation real quick so the public knows.
Well, that's just citing.
Is that contaminated or no?
So if you want to go a little bit more.
Now you're.
So right there, good. So right there, that material right there on the roof, the black and the brown and stuff. That's the impregnated part. The silver paint is the pliable stuff that's in there as well. So all the silver paint on top is the paint. And the impregnated part from the underneath the metal is what is hot as well. And so what it does is break down into small fibers and it goes down between the wood and then the interior and then around. You see the debris all over the inside, the black debris inside and stuff like that.
It's a lot more than what was initially.
Yeah.
It kind of falls back to that initial inspection.
Yeah. Have the entire thing abated and probably received a short grant from CDBG to cover all the costs. So That's also an unfortunate result.
Yeah.
I would entertain a motion.
We have a motion on the floor.
We have
Okay,
a motion. We have a second.
We just need the vote.
let's vote.
Let's vote. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Zentz,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Unfortunately, yes. We have to take care of it.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for your input.
And I appreciate it going out to the public like it is so that we know.
Okay, item number 14, consideration of a proposal to waive the competitive bidding requirements of the town procurement code, construction of the water line extension to the Plateau Valley School, and instead apply Collbran Municipal Code Section 2.24, 0.090 cooperative purchasing, which allows the town to participate in joint bidding with the other public agencies or entities when deemed to be in the town's best interest. Authorize the town manager and town attorney to negotiate with FCI for construction of the water line and tank based on the competitive selection process used by the Plateau Valley School District.
good job, Jessica.
Yeah, no.
Well, thank you. Before I talk about the competitive bid, I want to express my appreciation to the town of Collbran, the board of trustees, Mayor Wilcox, and our town manager Melanie, our finance manager, for your support. If you haven't heard, you did receive as a community town, a $1 million matching grant for our water lines. So, congratulations. And we are very fortunate, as you're partnering this process. I know there's been a lot of time between extended work phone calls, grant preparation, a lot of meetings, and nothing we talked about better than a long trip to Ray, Colorado, overnight, and where were we? Fort Morgan. But I mean, the purpose, and we're going to put these dollars to great use, and it's going to be very financially rewarding for us. Not to mention the opportunity to have water to our school, which is essential. So, on behalf of our school board, our staff, and our students, I want to say thank you to all of you for your effort and your help to lead us to this. It's a great feeling of support and a great demonstration of our community to support our kids in our schools. So thank you very much. Tonight, I will be to speak to the town board of trustees to talk about the process. As you all know, 8 months into construction, and now we're working towards the water line project after accomplishment of our grants. This includes a very diligent, very structured process, including competitive bidding for the process for construction. We also have been able to secure what we consider a group of top-notch engineers, managers, construction companies, and we are adhering to a very strict timeline by best. And I know DOLA also includes those guidelines and restrictions as well, be compliant with. But tonight I'd like to request that the town support our schools, FCI contract, and the subcontracting companies that work with FCI to complete the water line project, and forego the town's procurement policy for the competitive bid. We believe the decision tonight to do this would help us with the project to continue to work smoothly as far as the financial savings and ultimately a timeline that we have to meet. So with that in mind, if you have questions for me, I'm certainly open to answering them, but I appreciate the opportunity to come forward and request this.
So again, just for context, our procurement policy requires competitive bids for capital construction projects. We are asking for a waiver of that based upon the other provision of the code which allows for this cooperative purchasing. And the board can authorize that if they believe it's in the best interest of the town. And we believe that as Superintendent Long just shared, it is because FBI is a highly skilled team. They are already on the project on site. They're familiar with the overall project. They've been engineered and have been involved in it. And they are vested in the project. They will know how to coordinate, which if we were to go and bid, we would spend a bunch of time and possibly not how it goes. So that is our recommendation. So within your procurement code, and we did verify that Joel would accept it. And again, so long as we are compliant with our code and select this cooperative purchasing arrangement, it would be their expectation.
So
we have the water attorney then, Carla, out of Glendon Springs, or are we using the attorney we have now?
So this particular project, the involvement with the water line project and specifically the IGA that will need to be developed between the school and the town, or that will define every aspect of this project is being run by Mr. Scarberry, who is the attorney that's on.
And he's a water attorney.
This is not
water.
This is not water rights. This is municipal government because there are no water rights. It's connection, it's a construction contract and an IDA, and so it doesn't deal with any new water.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. If you don't go out to bid, how do you know that FCI is cheaper? Not to delay the project, it's just.
Well, we do a competitive bid with FCI and other companies for the whole project.
Including the water line?
Including the water line.
I move that we authorize the town manager and town attorney to negotiate with FCI for the construction of the water line and tank based on the competitive selection process used by the Plateau Valley School District.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Uh,
Just motioned.
Mike, pardon, go ahead.
She motioned and Gary motioned and I don't think they can hear you at all.
No, we know that it's showing down to the microphone.
Any sort of, yeah, go ahead, just go ahead and continue your discussion.
What I said was, how do we know that FCI is cheaper if we don't put it out to bid? And he told me that they put it out to bid for the entire project, but not just for the water line. I know they want contractors around here, so I mean. If I had a contractor and I lived in town, I'd be upset that I didn't get a chance or the opportunity to bid on it.
They may get an opportunity to bid with FCI as a subcontractor to do the work. FCI is the project manager and they will, so they are
Working with the subcontractors and that's the bidding process that FCI is coordinating for the water line specific.
But you don't know that they're gonna utilize the local people,
Well,
right?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah, you don't. That's.
the local people will have the opportunity to bid on the project.
We are a lot of local subcontractors right now for the FCI.
We are waiving the overall contract. Basically, what we're saying is that we're going to have FCI be the project manager, be the general contractor for the water line construction. They will bid they will go through their bid process with their subcontractors to get the water line constructed.
Know that. They will use the subcontractors they already utilize. They're a big company. They're gonna use who they want to use already.
They already have the bid on this project. So that would be at the discretion of FCI as part of their own. So we're not gonna be representing. We can't make that representation, if we choose this pathway.
Wanted to see that the local people that have contracts, they are the contractors, should have the opportunity to be a part of that, and maybe if you're gonna break the bidding process, maybe they would work the CI has to utilize someone that's local.
So then we kind of get back into the conversation that we had similar to the Friday is. We don't typically dictate how an independent contractor completes the project.
We don't have anybody local that could ever done, no one is certified.
So. I think it is a decision for the board. I think this is it's a relatively complicated project. It's gonna require some heavy equipment and a lot of coordination with the existing project. So I think if the town bids it out, it will take time and it will take a lot of time research. But we will have to pay for it because we would have to then have an engineering firm bid because it's not really something that we can do. So I think we can make a representation and I think that's ultimately a decision the board has to make. But I believe there are all the costs in taking the time to bid it out again, and I think that's what, absolutely.
I think this is a much more efficient way of getting this job done.
Well, it
And
isn't. I mean, FCI has done these types of projects multiple times, and I think that they are aware of what they need in what areas. They're vetted with their subcontractors. They're the experts in this, not us.
Well, and we don't need any of the other liabilities, and the same thing with, the FCI's got 100-page contract with BPM, and I don't think we need to overlook or get into contracts with the town, even trying to control the grant that we got them or that we applied for and we were just, thanked for. I think we need to let them handle it, and then we'll be reimbursed, and we just don't need to make it any more complicated than it already is. So
Yes, I can appreciate wanting to have locals do the work, but we also need to have the experts do it. And it may
Right.
not necessarily be locals. I think they'll find the best fit to get the project done effectively.
Local contractors to either attend meetings or at least follow up with town business. They can easily reach out to FCI or whoever and say, hey, we're available in this local town. I'm sure the town and the board will back them up, and we don't want everybody locally to live and have opportunities, but they should be involved. They have arguments to it.
Well, I'm not a contractor. I am, but I'd be really upset. And I know you would, if you guys were bidding such a large job, and just like doing the ones through local people, basically. And then the ones are paying the taxes for all of this. And the idea, Lorraine, that you don't think you have local people that are skilled to do this, what you just said, is ridiculous. You have town people that live in the town that could be installing this water line. This is the town water line. Am I correct?
It is the school that's paying for it. I just want to clarify, the school is paying the $2 million. So to me, I feel like the town should get out of the way and let the school do their project personally, but.
I agree.
100% responsible. But then it's going to be our water line, but because they're the developer bringing water to the school, they have to foot the bill.
So who's paying the other half of the water line that they get the grant for?
The total grant.
no, but we get paid that back.
Who's paying the rest of it?
The school.
The school, who's paying for the school?
Yeah.
Town people.
Mhm. The entire community.
And it's been the same thing with, you know, the oil field and such, and they have been very good at using local contractors, you know. And I would hope that the subcontractors would at least give the opportunity to, you know, like our lumber yard or any place that could supply materials, because I know Freddie has had to go through Grand Junction Pipe in the past and whatnot, and be able to, you know, help our community that way, support our community that way, whether we have other contractors that can help or certified. I mean, there already may be some with FCI. I know that some of our local community has gone to work for FCI, and so there's income that comes into our community. So I think we need to let them, they are the developer. And just as what happens in the future with the 13 acres and all that, it's up to the developer to take care of it. And the town should just, you know, basically stay out of it. And then when it's all said and done and we're reimbursed for the grant, then it's good to go.
All I'm saying is if you're going to waive the bidding process and allow FCI to do the entire contract, you should put something in there saying or asking them to please try and utilize the local people as a subcontractor. Since they are the ones that are fully available, I mean, in the long run.
Trevor, maybe you can give them a list of what, Mark.
I can certainly find out. I know they're working on the process in light of tonight's decision, and certainly give you feedback on where we're at.
To require them, but encourage them to be sure and check with them.
I know we're working a lot right now with the project, so
That's good to hear.
yeah, but I can certainly report back.
That sounds good. Well,
Have they awarded the contract, the water line contract to anybody yet? Well, it's not completed yet. No, you know, like any contractor at all. Have they? For the water line? Yeah, the water line inspection. Right. We have not. We haven't. So it is going to go out to bid. Well, I understand, yeah, they're just like they do with any of their other subcontractors, they're looking at the same process. So all of our local contractors will have a chance to bid on the water. Yes.
why they need to know you, contractors know. Any
Everybody has to. So I know, but as a FCI, and that's all they see. So somebody needs to put it out there.
Well, that's the process that they do with the subcontracting.
No.
It goes after those. Yes. Whereas we get a lot of requests for bids. They're all of the process.
Yes,
And then it's sort of project, really.
somebody who needs to be somewhere so people will know that they're actually going to.
And it's in those spots.
And if our local contract, if our local contractors are interested in getting contracts for the school or for any other project, they know the places to look for where the bid documents are at. And they understand how to do that bidding process and go through.
Where there's no secret, they don't know, I don't know, but everybody then knows. They don't, so they don't people into FCI, because it's not what they're doing now, they don't know to do something, they're going to be that, they don't see it.
Excuse me, excuse me, we're gonna end this conversation, we're gonna vote, because it's just getting completed, I apologize. Okay, vote please.
Thank you, trustee Winkleblack. Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes, got it, yes.
trustee
Go, go,
Evans,
go.
Yes.
trustee Zentz,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passed.
Thank you, Kevin. Number Agenda item number 15, tap fee discussion, direction to staff.
And the capital and requested an opportunity to discuss the EQR, do a follow-up with the QR calculation on this book.
Thank you. As approved, I think it was October 1st when I was able to come to the Board of Trustees and talk about the tap fees. We requested at that time that we have a reduction in the tap fees. And the board did agree to approve with a reduction to $83,160 based on 264 student capacity, staff capacity, and an 18.5 EQR, which we greatly appreciate. And in light of the extensive cost of construction and where we're at, I believe at the time it was discussed at the board that perhaps there would be reconsideration to look at that tap fee again. And so tonight I'm back just to appeal to the Board of Trustees again to see if there would be any reconsideration for the tap fees to be reduced for our new construction project.
Yeah, I remember that discussion and what we decided. And I thought about it more. And one of the reasons I think we decided on re-looking at it down the road, and it was going to be farther down the road, was that, making sure that all of the residents of Plateau Valley shared in the cost of it. And as I got to thinking about this more and remembering that where the majority of the town's revenues come from, I think that I would be willing to reconsider and keeping the tap fee at the $83,000 as we had originally agreed to, but not going back and reevaluating after 3 or 5 years, but going ahead and having the town backfill the remainder of that, so that it makes the school still getting a break, and the water fund is made whole, because like I said, the majority of the town's funds come from the Mesa County sales tax. So all of Mesa County is helping to fund that money. And so I think it's being distributed wisely through everybody.
Well, I'd like to say number one, this is not on the agenda, and we did not add it to the agenda when we had the chance to. Number two, we learned in our, I believe it was the Dole guide, once something has been voted on, it's not up to revisit, and that was voted on. And I think that it's completely fair. I want to bring up that Job Corps paid full price for their water tap fees without asking. And they're also here for the good of the community. They provide a lot of jobs and they provide a great service. The clinic is here for the good of the community, and it was in their budget, and they did not request. These are all nonprofits, and we did cut the price in half, and I think the decision's been made. And if it's something that you guys want to put back on the agenda.
Well, I believe we should put it back on the agenda and have some more discussion, because, we're talking about Plateau Valley School. We're talking about what does it actually cost the town for a tap fee? What does it cost in terms of labor and parts of things of that nature? I mean, we're supporting the school. We're just supporting the community as a whole. And I don't understand why we would have to charge $83,000 or any kind of money. Maybe out of, they're in the town, maybe the $4,500. But I just don't support charging the school $83,000 for a tap fee when it costs us next to nothing to actually install that tap. And that's how I feel about it. And I think it ought to come back to the agenda, and we should have more discussion.
Maybe we should charge nobody a tap fee from now.
That's possible. It's not just the tap fee, it's the maintenance, it's the filters, it's the guys' wages that have to take care of the water system. there is not just the tap fee.
He can't hear you, I'm sure, but,
Okay.
um.
Yeah,
And
But
I can hear her just fine.
I think this needs to be brought up again at another meeting. Again, it's not on the agenda and it's not that it isn't important, but it needs more discussion if there is still some concern.
well, and we still have to approve the intergovernmental agreement regarding this, so that's a time when we can discuss it further.
Well, I respect the trustees' thoughts and I understand expenses for everything and everything seems to be out of this world, but we are looking very diligently and between our grants and our funds for the construction. Please know, I hope this is a good outcome for our town because that water line will be extended at the expense really of the school district. That will ultimately be turned over to the town, and we're very grateful for the $83,000 reduction. But again, our priority is to put as much as we can towards building a school that meets our kids' needs and our community's needs as well. So with that in mind, I guess I have no concerns to come back if there's another opportunity to be put on the agenda and discuss it, and we'll certainly would do that.
You know, Justy Price, when you mentioned the Job Corps did not ask for it, no, Job Corps is federal government. Of course they didn't ask for it. They've got a lot more money than any of us do, and it wasn't an issue. Job Corps was a nation. So in terms, yeah, they didn't ask for any kind of waiver because that's how government works. But we're talking about a town government and we're talking about a community school.
Gary, the school has $64 million to work with, and we have 4. We also are funded by less than 200 houses, and the school is funded by how many houses?
3 communities.
Yes, a lot of houses. It's not a matter of if our system is gonna need upgraded, but when, and so, that money all goes to that. And we're gonna be in a world of trouble when we don't have the money built up when our system fails.
Hey, again, I think we need to table this, put it on another agenda and move forward.
Yeah,
Okay, let's move on.
So let's get away, I know this is not on the agenda, but I want to present to the board, it's a letter of donation. We do have a huge green curtains that we reveal values in our auditorium project. We're going to donate those. Thank you, Silver, for the letter. And I wanted to bring that tonight and say thanks to the board, and most certainly are anxious to donate those curtains to you. Thank you. Good.
Item number 15, tap fees discussion, direction to staff.
Aren't we?
So there are quite a few things laid out in this memo. Just we tried to pull everything associated with TAPI into a single discussion. That was the first issue, and kind of revisit of the EQRs of the school. The second is just getting direction from the board. If you would like to review this, I believe at the October 1 meeting, there was at least expressed an interest in reviewing TAPI. We found no evidence that TAPI had been changed since at least 2007. We are currently in the process of doing the utility rate study for the town. Our Rural Water Association is doing it. That was not part of their initial work, but they can provide us with some comparative data if we'd like them to. That is generally lower than comparable jurisdictions. We will have that for you. We're talking about February of 2020 to have that discussion with them. So we just wanted to make sure we were on track with what we wanted to do, which was asking the question about time. So that was kind of the first thing we wanted to get your opinion on.
I think that we should have that discussion. I think it needs to happen in a work session where that's the topic of the work session, rather than trying to do it in an open meeting like this. not to say that work sessions are not open meetings, but, you know, where we're trying to kind of formulate our ideas and thoughts and be able to do it that way. I think that's probably a good idea. I would love to see the comparative data on other, you know, where other municipalities are.
I would be okay with that too. I do think it needs further discussion before we make any decisions.
Absolutely.
And then, how do we bring that up? Then the next question is, right now, if we start talking about raising tap fees, it would be reasonable for some individuals to be consider buying a tap to come in and buy them. And there is nothing in any policy or anything like that that would allow the town manager to say no. And so we wanted to see if the board wanted to provide direction about if Charlie would came in and a tap fee, would you want us to sell it to them, or would you, mechanism would be to actually put a moratorium on, and now, you know, we might want to get an attorney to weigh in. But again, if somebody came in tomorrow and wanted to buy tap fees, we would be required to sell them. And so we just wanted, again, to get direction from.
I understand that, and can they lock into that price and install over 5 years, or is there a way that can we change that in our ordinance that they have 8 months, 6 months to install their water?
So it is not written down, and so that we can provide it out with anything in tomorrow. And that is why we may want to consider, you know, closing on a moratorium and study the tax fees and then get on best practices and figure out how we would want to move forward with a change in ordinance and modify.
We disagree with pausing all. If we have water available according to our code, we have to sell it. We have to give them the tap fee. And so I'm completely against that, because I don't want to hold up somebody's building, or if their well fails and they want to tie in, that's not fair. Because it says the town water or sewer system shall at all times be subject to availability. We can't just decide to freeze it till we raise the price.
Can we put a modified moratorium, and maybe Wilson can answer this, a modified moratorium where they, you know, if they have submitted for a building permit, yes, we would sell them a tap because they are getting ready to build. But if they don't have a building permit, we don't have to sell them a tap at this time. Can we do something like that?
Yes, you can implement a moratorium, and the language, I'm not sure exactly where the language Trustee Price was referencing was that in the code on tap fees that you were referencing there?
34.12.010. Yes, that's
okay. So if that's a town ordinance as part of the moratorium, you would either temporarily or you could basically overwrite that provision as part of the moratorium. And moratoriums like this on extending new water rights, this is not some novel idea here that this is the first time a local government has had this issue. This is a common issue as communities grow. There was a front page article on the Colorado Sun just this week about a 3-year moratorium that was just lifted across all of Weld County for water sales. So this is normal for communities to do these kind of moratoriums as they figure out how to develop.
That's because they're out of water there, so we're not out of water. So can we instead put in some sort of clause in our ordinance that once they purchase the tap fee, they have to, that's good until for 6 months or 4 months?
Yes, you can put a condition on it that says if you purchase a tap fee, you know, you have to connect within a certain amount of time, that authorization is expires if you have failed to connect within that time period. Yes, you can do that.
I think that's the best way to go. Then we're not halting people's projects. And if somebody does have a well failure and they want to tie into the system, then they're still able to. But I don't believe in buying the empty lot next to me and buying today's tap fee at $4,500 and then building in 5 years or 10 years and connecting. Is what I'm trying to.
I agree with that, trustee Price, and I think we should honor the 8 individuals that have been quoted a tap fee, but I think the current deadline is like 2029, and I would suggest we change that to 2025. And that gives them 2 years, the end of 2025, to make a decision.
Well, that'd be more like a year, but you know, even the Madero subdivision, clear back when the tap fees were only $500. I know that the former mayor Lee Lent paid all those tap fees for those 10 or 12 lots that's up there. And then for years, once those tap fees were paid, you have to pay, I don't know if we still charge a $12 availability fee. So you're getting he's getting a bill once a month for each tap. And over the years, that's all added up. So I don't know, he's probably paid more than $4,500 because he's had it for so long. I don't know, but that
Pretty
was
good
part.
investment.
Yeah.
Should
We
be.
do have a base rate.
Do we still do those that have tap fees and haven't used them? Do we still charge an availability fee?
If they have a tap to their property, then they do pay our base rate.
They pay the full base rate?
Yes. If they have a tap to their property, yes.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Up in the Madero subdivision at the top of Glenarm, those tap fees were paid, and for years an availability fee was paid, but never, and that was in the ordinance for years. So I don't know when that changed, but
I think it's just they don't call it a
because
they call it a base rate. So that's the wording is different.
no,
The current base rate does not give you any water usage. It is a base rate. Then you pay per gallon from there on. So yes, anybody who has a tap has to pay the base, which is it's just like an availability fee. It's just worded differently.
and the base rate now is
$12.94.
$12.94.
okay. So it's pretty much the same thing as it's always been. The only difference is the wording. There's been no development as far as that approved subdivision was approved. But there's been no water or sewer put into it or stubs to the lots or anything like that. Just
So
tap.
Speak to somebody has purchased tap fees that long ago. If they don't attach their property, then they're not paying a base rate.
Well, I know Mr. Lent has for years. So, and that's like the lot that we have stubs outside the sidewalk to our lot. We just don't have a meter or anything hooked up.
Item 15 on the agenda, I guess my understanding is that we were just going to address what we do with the 8 individuals who were quoted a tap fee. Some of them were quoted a tap fee from in town and they're out of town. And to give direction to the staff. And also, like I said, I mean, I just think that moving forward and bringing this to some closure, that we should just honor those fees that we gave to those individuals and to limit the response time, the deadline to 2025 or 2026. That's 2 years. Are we on the same sheet of music on this or what?
Well, the other thing to add into that, Gary, is there was an ordinance in the past, and whether that's been a resolution or ordinance been changed, once a tap fee has been paid, say we honor that they agree to annex into the town so that we could collect property taxes
Good point, good point.
to go along with that, and not just pay, there was an out-of-town tap fee that was, twice as much, but then it changed along the line to where if they paid a tap fee, it was the same as what they were quoted, just like you're saying, but they agree to annex into the town so that the town can get that little bit of property tax, and they're using our facilities.
That none of them actually have had that tap installed. Is that correct?
Right. Carrie, this is a quote. They were quoted wrong. They're not in a contract.
Why don't we just say we screwed up and gave you the wrong amount? This is what it really is.
I understand that they were quoted wrong, but I think we have to honor the quote that they were given. I mean, I just think that that's good business. It only, $36,000 is what it kind of adds up to, which is not a drop in the bucket, but I think we have to honor the quote that was given and move on, and don't make that mistake again.
Well, we all, including the staff, we're supposed to uphold the ordinance, and it's hard for me to understand how for 10 years the ordinance was not referred to for the proper rate. And I think moving forward from this day on, the proper rate needs to be, a mistake was made and we move forward from this day on. All of us to uphold this ordinance.
Well, this ordinance plus the ordinance that says they are annexed into the town. What if they're annexed into the town, then this is the proper rate.
I'm not sure if that ordinance still exists, but we'd have to look at it.
I haven't seen that ordinance, but if they do want the in-town rate, Gary, they can annex into the town and pay the in-town rate.
Right.
And I feel like this is a negotiating ground for, hey, you guys charge this amount to this guy and you're charging this amount to me. We don't even have a list of name and addresses of who we're giving this rate to. So it's.
I think the town staff has that, and at this time, it's just not been made public. And I don't know that it necessarily needs to be made public for now. But.
Well, a lot of citizens are concerned that the town manager's house is on that line. Is that true?
On what line?
Yeah, are you on the list of 8 houses that have been quoted the wrong price?
Yes.
That doesn't seem like a conflict of interest.
Well, I've spoken to the town attorney and it is not a conflict of interest.
So that's good.
Do we not have the fee schedule that has all this stuff on it?
Yeah. That's readily available. If
Every year you should have an updated fee schedule of everything that you charge.
I agree, we were going to be working on that. No, we do not have an updated, we don't have one. That was the one occasion. It does not have out-of-town rates, neither did any of the forms used here. Did not have out-of-town rates. So, again,
one person was charged the right price.
staff has said that they made a mistake. And we're asking how you would like us to move forward.
Well, I suggest that everybody be charged as the ordinance. I suggest that we uphold the ordinance as we were elected or appointed to do so.
Well, and from here forward, that makes no sense to go back and penalize all those people. We need to put something in place and then move forward with our decision.
We're not looking back to try to penalize the people that were charged but I'm saying that the 8 houses that were quoted the wrong price. They were given a quote. They're not in a contract. What if our price is raised in the next 2 years?
You're talking about the houses that were quoted a price as part of the easement negotiations for the school water line. Oh. I'm just trying to understand which
Yes.
group you're talking about.
There's 8 houses. We don't know where. We know that there's a developer along Cedar Crest. We know that there's.
Okay, good. Then you're talking about two different things.
We're
Because
talking about everybody that was quoted the wrong price. They want to honor the wrong price for 5 years. And what if our rates go up?
Is that how long the quote lasts? 5 years?
Oh, yeah.
Is valid 5 years?
Yeah.
So
that was a suggestion.
that was, and I think we tried to be really clear. We have not done anything. We have not made any promises. We identified the issue and we brought it to you. We didn't get a chance to talk about it again in November, so we're here tonight. So there are, I think as Tilda is suggesting, there are people who pay. Who have paid. And so that perhaps is one, because going back and collecting from them would be much different than not honoring a works that you have constructed.
I understand we can't go back to the people that paid the wrong price.
So I think as we start talking about quantities and things like that, again, I think, you know, we have it, it's on page 106 of your agenda. In 2022. And in this item, we had all the town taxes were charged incorrectly. There were 3 taxes that were charged incorrect. So. That. And they paid and they're connected, and so the question is. Would you like to enforce the higher rate on them? I guess that would maybe be the first.
They already entered a contract and they paid and they're done. Okay, but what I'm saying is where you say, we propose that we determine the number of out-of-town parties who were quoted the incorrect tap fee. And the town reserved an amount equal to cover those additional tap fees in the general fund. At this point, we believe there are 5 landowners along the school water line and 3 developer taps near Cedar Crest Lane for a total of 8 properties at $4,500. Or for a grand total of $36,000 that you guys are proposing as staff to set aside from our general fund to make up for this mistake. I'm saying these people were quoted, these 8 properties, we believe, we're not sure. They were all quoted the wrong price. They are not in a contract. No. So they're like, perhaps they can suggest a motion. Yeah. Yes. I motion that every property be charged at the appropriate rate quoted in our town ordinance, which out-of-town tax are 200% what in-town rates are.
And may I suggest a friendly amendment to that language for property that is not already connected?
For properties, I completely agree, for properties that are not already connected.
Okay, so that's the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Can we have a vote, Jenny? Let me back that up. Is there any discussion? Can we have a vote, Jenny?
I'm not sure she's still there.
Okay.
I am. I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're fine.
Sorry. It's bedtime. I was trying to get my kid down. Sorry. Trustee Zentz.
No.
Okay. Trustee Evans. Trustee Evans?
She's thinking.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Winkleblack?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Price?
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
I would like to talk more, maybe not tonight, well, actually, I think that we should put some kind of an emergency modified moratorium on selling of taps until we can go finish looking at our tap fees and redo the ordinances based on that. I would agree that if somebody is ready to construct a new development, right now, they're in the building permit process and they're ready to go, we should be selling them a tap. But if they are planning for it sometime, who knows where in the future, I don't think that we should be selling them a tap at this time until we are able to, get our tap fee, look at our tap fees and look at our ordinances and how we want to do that.
That's the goal of putting a 6-month or 8-month cap. And then I'd also like that to say that if our rates go up to $7,000 and they've already paid $4,500, that they could still have that $4,500 credit and just pay the difference. I thought that their tap expired.
I think that if they are getting ready to construct and they're in the building permit phase, they get it for whatever the price is right now. I think that that's fair because that's what we are charging, and we don't know how far down the road it's going to be before we get this figured out. And to me, it's fair that I'm building my house now. That's the cost, or in the next, whatever it is. I think that's the fairness of it, rather than coming back and saying, well, since you paid for your tap, we've raised them and we're going to make you pay more. I don't think that's fair. Just like these other people that we're not paying back on.
That's max or 6-month max. So it needs
permit. How does that allow? Does the Mason County building permit allow you, when you get a building permit, don't they give you a certain length of time to finish your project?
I believe that they do.
So why go along with the same design as the county as far as the tap fee goes?
I don't think they don't go back and make you repurchase an additional tap after you have to renew your building permit at a year, but you don't go back and then go, oh, well, in this year, they have upped their price, and now you owe an additional $3,000.
No, it's not the same. I'm saying it's follow the same guidelines as far as building. So like I can't come in and buy a $4,500 tap right now and plan to build 2 years down the road. Okay. I get my building permit, I have a year of county regulations to finish my bill. Should be the same thing with my water tap.
Well, we're working on building permits and going through all of that with Mesa County, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know all of the regulations, so I can't bring them forward tonight.
So maybe it should be a 1-year max, like you're locked into this price for 1 year.
Should be 60 days for.
Well, if you don't, and then
It's the same, not then you have a more working period.
Locked into today's price, right? Within 20 years.
And if you're reselling water, you're losing a lot of revenue.
I'm supposed to be put in. And it took me longer to get the codes from Mesa County to be able to get it certified and pass inspection and all that. But the quote from GBP expired. I had to resubmit for a new quote because I knew that it expired. They said, oh, you don't need to limit, it's still good. You can afford yourself the same opportunity.
Yes, I agree.
But we're kind of talking the same thing, but two different things. Our fees are set by ordinance, correct?
Yes.
And to get ordinances passed, that there's a process for doing that.
We cannot do that.
Yeah. So, you know, what we're doing tonight would not be to pass an ordinance that says this is what, you know, what we're going to do. There's a process that goes through that, but we can do kind of an emergency moratorium or modified moratorium where we can say, okay, we're not going to sell any taps unless you've got a building permit in process. And then they're good until, you know, we can say, you know, if you've got a building permit process and you've got until your building permit expires. And then, you know, that's the price that you pay and, you know, you're good.
And we might need Wilson to weigh in on whether a motion to create some scenario tonight would override code, which says we have to do it. Or if you were just providing direction tonight to bring something to the January meeting to modify.
You would be in violation of our own code till it says town or water sewer system shall at all times be subject to availability, and we still have availability.
You can only do an emergency moratorium if you don't have water.
Mm-hmm. It's opening us up for liability major.
Doesn't it putting a limit on your quote do the same thing as a moratorium?
We're gonna have to, we are wanting to put the limit on, what we're trying to do is not have somebody come in and say, oh, they're gonna talk about raising fees, I wanna go and get my permit, I'm gonna go and purchase my tap fee right now. We need to be able to tell them, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't.
Right. So
But
if it expires and they still haven't put it in, they have to get a new quote if you have a new cut.
But that is part, that would be part of a whole new ordinance that we have to go through all of the process. Is there a way that we can do this on a short-term basis?
We can have a special meeting. It's up to the discretion to have a special meeting and get this done.
So there were several questions asked. I'm trying to sort of track what to respond to first. So again, in terms of the current item in the code that says that, you know, there is that if there is availability, tap fees would be issued. If you passed an ordinance that was a temporary moratorium on tap fee sales, you would strike out that, you would overturn that ordinance as part of an emergency ordinance, and you can obviously modify the code going forward. The direction that I think we would need tonight, because an ordinance wasn't noticed, would be you could provide direction for us to bring back an ordinance at the next meeting that moves forward with the sort of compromise that you were wanting to see here in terms of how to handle tap fees going forward. I think there was another question in there somewhere, but I may have missed it. If someone feels I haven't answered everything.
I'm saying, is there something that we can do tonight to make it so that the staff doesn't have to sell taps until we get this figured out, unless somebody's getting ready to build? Like, they're in the permit process.
So until you put the temporary moratorium in place, you wouldn't be able to stop folks from coming in and buying taps. And this other provision that we've talked about adding, where there would be a requirement to use or to connect within a certain time period once a tap has been purchased. I would have to do some more research into this. I think you could have that piece of this apply retroactively, so that, let's say, you know, someone after tonight's meeting goes out and purchases a tap, but they have no intent on actually connecting within the next 5 years. That could be one solution here. But again, the best way to handle this would be to come back at a future meeting with an ordinance that either pauses or does, you know, whatever direction you end up providing tonight for how we're going to handle tap fee sales going forward.
Okay, we need a work session to discuss this. What I was suggesting is out of the question and would be moot by the time we got around to doing the ordinances.
Okay.
How many tap fees do you get per month?
Right now, very few, but who knows what, you know, we have a potential subdivision going in, they may come in and say, oh, they're gonna raise tap fees, I'm gonna come in and buy my taps.
There's
And there's nothing that we can stop them with now.
nothing in any of your ordinances says you do not pre-sell taps.
No,
And it is,
Well, even that subdivision, though, before all that happens, they've got to do all that dirt work, put the roads, gutter, sewer, water, all that in, and just that time frame and this time of year, by the time they get building permits, there's no way they're gonna.
you don't have, at this time, you do not have to have a building permit or dirt work done or
Right,
to purchase a tap.
that's correct, especially if you're in the town.
All right, so should we just pass over that? Gary, you ready? Do you have something to say?
You know, I agree with Tilda in terms of, I think that we should establish maybe a 30-day, 60-day moratorium until Wilson can come back with this, with a change in the ordinance to read the way that we feel it should read. So the 30, 60, 90-day moratorium until we get the ordinance to where, you know, is viable for what we want. Is that
And
that we can do, Wilson?
I really haven't heard that there's any new, immediate new construction that would really, that 60 to 90-day moratorium would affect.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Would that put us at a liability if we pass that tonight for 60 days?
What sort of liability are you worried about with that 60-day moratorium?
We have water available and I was coming in to build a house would be pretty hot. I mean. Because that's what the ordinance says.
So it would be a 60-day moratorium. So in order for someone to have I struggle to conceive of a situation in which someone who actually had a house ready to go and was ready to buy a tap fee, let's say tomorrow, would have a cognizable claim against the town for a temporary moratorium on tap fee sales based on an ordinance that says that the town will issue tap fees as water is available, unless they can prove some damages, which are going to be entirely hypothetical. I would not be worried about that kind of liability. It seems incredibly speculative.
So can we do a temporary free until we meet with the Colorado Rural Association in February? So 90 days.
And yes, I think I had said something about it not being noticed earlier, but I looked back at the agenda. Since the temporary moratorium was on the agenda, you could move forward with, yes, a 90-day moratorium tonight.
Because it doesn't have to be an ordinance, it's kind of a temporary policy.
Yes.
Well, I move that we establish a 90-day moratorium on issuing tap fees in the town of Collbran, Colorado.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? Jenny, can we get a vote?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes,
trustee Zentz,
Yes,
trustee Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
I'm gonna say no.
alrighty. Mayor Wilcox.
No.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Okay, item number 17, authorize the mayor to sign IGA amendment proposal for Mesa County that will convert any remaining ARPA 2024 dollars to capital dollars that can be used for any qualified capital project in 2025.
When Mesa County offered the town of Collbran $1 million through their ARPA funds. ARPA funds they have to be expended by the end of this year. And obviously, we are not completely finished with that broadband project. They would like to continue to offer us that money for capital projects. And so they want to switch it from their ARPA funds to their general funds. So they're just switching the product money that they're giving it to us from.
And these monies would be available to finish the broadband and whatever is left over, because we know that there's more than what is needed. We can use them for other capital projects.
Maybe more.
There may be more.
Is already out there, and then yes, we could use them on certain on.
By motion, we authorize the mayor to sign the IGA amendment proposal for Mesa County that will convert any remaining ARPA 2024 dollars to capital dollars that may be used for any qualified capital project in 2025.
I second the motion.
Jenny, can we have a vote?
Yes, trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
yes,
trustee Zentz,
yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Price,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed.
Okay, item number 18, consideration of an agreement with Casella for hosted cloud solution for the town's accounting and utility billing software.
So yeah, Bell is the software that we have been using since 2008. It is specific to governmental operations. It includes general accounting, general ledger, bank reconciliation, cash receiving, accounts payable and payroll, and it's also a utility. There's really very few products that actually fit that niche, and Bell is certainly the product that's been very good for us for a long period of time. They have over as many companies have, they are recommending converting their clients from a local server-based product to a cloud hosted. And they provide more security, immediate uptime, immediate patches. It also means that instead of having the physical infrastructure on the site, right now we have a physical server that has the software and the database on it. And that software has reached the end of its warranty period. Now, that's not necessarily the same thing as end of the end of the warranty. So we could start having expenses associated with that. The cost to replace that server, the estimate that we got was $18,000. As well as the ongoing maintenance. So we recommended that we go to the hosted cloud solution with the cell. It's more expensive, it's about double the cost of the in-house option. But again, we believe it's more secure, it'll be up to date, and again, we won't have to be part of the infrastructure.
What do you mean it's secure?
It'll be instead of having to make sure that, and we contract for the service, but there has to be on-site and there be really, your data is finally done to, cyber violations. If it's hosted in the cloud, they're less susceptible. Plus, you also then is immediately applied and it's just generally considered a better level of service these days, because again, you post it in the cloud, multiple versions of it, make sure pay for data. It's easy to administer, and so most. And I think it's just like you probably see in your own experience. It used to be about a desktop version or something. Well, now the companies have migrated to, you know, the online version, the posted version, the cloud version. It is certainly a revenue stream for them, but again, what you're getting is you're getting. The redundancy, about the immediate upgrades and not having to buy something to get in, which we don't have to put this out. We just renew it anymore. But.
May I say something? The legal clinic just contacted me today, and they're with the cloud, they got to have.
Nothing is everywhere, nothing is full.
That is correct. I just want you to be aware of the cloud.
I mean,
Left.
yeah, there's no such thing as security when it comes to that, and we should all know that from Edward Snowden and whatnot, and what the government does. For years, the phone companies were selling information to the CIA and all of that, and the clouds. I mean, they built a 1 million square foot facility in Salt Lake. They're doing another one up there. There's several going on across the country, but when it comes to the cloud, it's like whether we realize it or not, that all of that information is stored, and basically they're, you know, violating our constitutional rights because they're watching us whether we want them to or not, and all of our content is there, so they know what we're doing, and that's not to be,
Sergeant.
you know, off the wall or whatever. That's just plain fact.
We're already in an agreement with Cassell, but it's for the local server.
Correct.
And what will happen to our old server?
We would. It would become non-necessary.
That company should migrate the data.
Yeah.
Into the new system.
Yeah.
And then you can destroy the old server without. You probably, whatever backup solution you have right now, do a final backup, transfer the data, destroy the old server, and then you still have a mechanism to retrieve your backup data. But then you would only do that after you do validation. That's the new server.
And then would include all the conversion and data upgrade and migration. And relegate all, for instance, we have to coordinate the uptake. And those are issued at least once quarterly, so we just have to make sure we stay on top of that. It's just another thing. So this we keep that.
And cost difference, sorry.
As I say, and how old is the server?
5 years.
So
Again, has reached.
end of warranty, and in many text visions, probably end of life. You know, they tend to become obsolete very quickly.
Yeah. But our software as it is, it's around $7,000, which I don't know exactly, but $7,000. This is again double the price because it's different. So it's 15,144, but that doesn't include 5% discount we paid in January. So I don't know where to come. Yeah, within that staff. So it is, yeah.
So the $7,000, that's for the year? Okay.
And that would be roughly $15,000.
But, you know, basically that's replacing equipment that we would need to purchase, and there's probably coming very soon a time when they are not going to offer a desktop version anyway, correct?
We've seen most companies are facing for the so.
Is it possible?
No.
Yeah, I haven't invested in this conversation, just from a P&E, because the reason why you go to the cloud really is return on investment. You're removing your hardware, you're moving your power, you're removing all that kind of stuff. There's all security concerns depending on where they're back in. Most of these companies will have their cloud hosted in AWS or Microsoft or Google somewhere, right? and they have more security, but they do get that. But from a cost perspective, nowadays, instead of finding their total cloud solution, you could build a server called a virtual private server. In some company like DigitalOcean, and you build a server right there in a matter of 5 minutes, and it's 12 to 24 bucks a month. And you take that same software, and it would just be like your in-house version. Probably more secure if you have insight to it.
Well, I think the missing piece might be the regular upgrade. And I think it also does include, priority response and calls and everything. But again, it's putting in those updates on a quarterly basis. So I would say, I would think by then it's a cost benefit analysis for the board to make.
Yeah, there's tons of ways to go with it. I know you're well versed on that stuff, but it's just being a geek and stuff. I'd like to make the meeting go to midnight, so.
Most likely, Casella would not facilitate that with you guys, so it wasn't their server, it wasn't their, they wouldn't back you up with the support that you have from them further. When you have issues.
When somebody signs up for water, is their social security number on that? What private,
No,
what's our risk of being hacked in the cloud as consumers?
we don't have any,
Personal.
any socials are in the system, whether they have to be.
You probably have all your payment information for water.
That is-
Big information if we're to find out. Okay.
But it's that's yeah, there is zero.
It's safe.
All right, so you did say 7,000 and then you said 15,000, but
So that is to continue with the status quo and keep that locked and probably replace it within a year. Or virtualize it, as the gentleman suggests, but going to explore hardware replacement or a virtual replacement. Versus $15,000, which is then the software as a service, which goes to the hosted cloud.
yeah, 7,000 or 15,000 for this
15,000 to do that
for 1 year.
for 1 year, yes.
You do a work session on that?
Oh, that's
No,
15,000 a year.
Does that change how you receive your water bill in from the town? Is it gonna get an envelope or? So it comes with your name, your account number, your address. All that.
well,
It would probably offer you more options,
options for, e-statements and things like that. It's not something that we've done, but it's certainly something we can look at.
It is so very knowledgeable.
Oh, I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Okay, I motion a consideration of an agreement with Cassell for hosted cloud solution for the town's accounting and utility billing software. I have a second.
I will second the motion.
Jenny, any further discussion? Jenny, can we have a vote? Please.
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Zentz? Trustee Zentz?
Yes.
Lost.
Okay. Trustee Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Winkleblack?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price?
Yes,
Mayor Wilcox?
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passed.
19, direction of staff regarding potential modifications to the Collbran employee handbook to include job descriptions and qualifications.
I think that the staff has done a very good job of giving us a lot of background information. I think that the board needs to digest this and once again have a work session to discuss this. And to discuss this before we, so we know what we want to actually put into the employee handbook.
Well, I for one just don't see why it's a big deal to put the job descriptions in the employee handbook. If I worked in this office and I was being assigned other people's jobs, I would refer to the employee handbook and say, that's not my job, thank you, I'm doing my job.
I have never worked at an organization where job descriptions are in the employee handbook. The employee handbook is for the organization as a whole, not individual jobs. And when they get hired, as you see in the background information, a person can sign a good practices for the person to sign their job description, but they aren't in the employee handbook. Job descriptions can change, and an employee handbook is a lot harder to change. And you don't necessarily want to do it every time you update a job because you're hiring somebody new, and you may decide that you're going to redo how that position is going to function.
Yeah, I agree. I have seen those are always separate documents. You have your job description, and then you have the employee handbook, which tells you how to operate from day to day.
Well, the employee handbook, let's refer to the town ordinance. It says, under municipal code 2.12.090, town administrator, the town administrator shall have such authority and perform such duties as provided by the statute, the town employee handbook, and otherwise delegated or assigned to the town administrator by the board of trustees. So at one point, it even says in here, as provided by the statute and the town employee handbook, there was a job description for every individual at one point in the employee handbook. And according to a special meeting held on June 19th, 2020, an executive session was held for the discussion of the town manager's contract, an approval of the manager's contract, and then number 8 on this agenda is approval of resolutions number 8, Series 2020, a resolution of the town of Collbran, Colorado, amending the town of Collbran employee handbook with the adoption of a job description for the town administrator.
But that's one job description, and I would still stand that none of those descriptions need to be in a handbook. If you look at other businesses and their handbooks, they do not list job descriptions. Those are separate entities.
They need to be listed somewhere. They need to be in the town ordinance, or they need to be in the employee handbook. They used to be in the employee handbook.
Do you have a copy of that employee handbook?
No, not the old one. I'm sure I can get it from an ex-employee.
Please do. I'd love to see it. But
it's town job description right now. We're having a resolution number 8, series 2020, because there's no job description for the town administrator and the employee handbook.
That resolution didn't put that into the town. It just approved it. It did not approve putting it into the employee handbook.
To put it into the employee handbook.
No.
Linking the two, because it does talk about the administration of personnel matters to the employee handbook. So I think they were creating a linkage between the contract, the job description, and then administering the policies in that handbook. The agent.
But there's language that says Colorado amending the town of Collbran employee handbook with the adoption of a job description for town administrator. I don't know how else you take that.
They probably had other things that needed to be changed in the employee handbook at that time.
I think I said that the clerk to the board or that. I don't know, you can certainly go back to what I said, if you want to see it. Okay.
But I definitely see it.
Why it's a secret, everybody's job description.
It's not a secret. They're available. It just doesn't belong in those.
As a board member for the job descriptions. 6 months,
They are available to you.
now. Yeah.
Do you want to look at the website? No,
Not them on the website. I just got that at the meeting at the day of ours. I don't know, it just seems like they're very secretive, because I asked for them in April and they got added to my packet in what, October?
Just
Gary,
just to clarify here, I just want to come back to, the advice that was from Employers Council. I also spoke with the employment law expert in our firm about this, and it is more or less standard practice anywhere else in the world to not have job descriptions in an employee handbook. An employee handbook has a different purpose than providing job descriptions. And so it is certainly possible for us to put job descriptions for all filled and posted unfilled job positions somewhere publicly facing, but the employee handbook is not the recommended place to put that information. Now, it may have been the case that in the past, the board had included that information in the employee handbook. My understanding is that at least going back over the last several years, there was not a version of the employee handbook that anyone could locate that had job descriptions in it. So notwithstanding the language in that old resolution you pulled out, you know, maybe this was a thing in the past, but generally speaking, it is not good employment policy to have those descriptions in the handbook.
Why? Why is it a problem? Why?
I mean, that's not the purpose of an employee handbook. An employee handbook is meant to be a general document that you can hand to any employee that tells them, you know, how it's information on how payroll works and how insurance works and other things like that. A job description is meant to be something that you know, exists to track an individual to either fill a position or track how well someone is fulfilling the needs of a position. And so there are, you know, different places that you would have that information. And I guess I'm a little bit confused too as to, you know, we've said we can have the job descriptions somewhere public, and we've said that, you know, employment law experts say that the place to put that is not in an employee handbook. So I'm just confused why this is still such an issue.
Well, Gary, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I believe that they should remain two separate documents. I think the employee's handbook is basically to identify local, state, and federal regulations and restrictions and requirements. And then the job description is an ongoing, it may change according to, you know, as we grow as a town, that kind of thing. So I see no reason why they should be combined into one document. They should remain two documents that are available to the public at all times.
Well, if they were to the public, we as board members ask for 6 months to get copies of them. So what does the public get?
Well, I mean, I think what you're saying
Can it
there
not
is
be put
a
on
different
the,
issue.
sorry, can it not be put on the website under the employment section? I think it should be available, and obviously if someone's going to apply for a job, that information is going to be available, but we should be able to put it on a tab on the website that these are the job descriptions for all of our current positions. Because job descriptions, they're a living document. They change as things change.
Completely agree. And that's what we discussed at Vega, and that's what we said would happen, and that's been 2 months.
Well, one thing, I don't know that this, you know, these decisions have been pushed and not settled. And if we can give direction and say, okay, I would like this put on the website, then it can be done. But direction has been vague, and the staff need to have specific direction on what our expectations are. And that has not happened.
That happened later, but everybody said we would work on that. So I would like to throw out a motion that all employee job description and vote on the requirements. Job descriptions and, you know, we'll just say job descriptions, go on the website under staff. And it could go in a nice summary like Carla Distal, finance director, and other municipalities do that. And then it gives like your job duties, like what you do for our town, for the people, the taxpayers.
So and I think that to go back to trustee then, I think that perhaps different than what we are expecting. A summary of staff and what we do is is very different than the specific language that's in a job description, and you have the job description in the packet. So I guess if, and this is why we made that commitment, we trustees that suggested, we're not clear on what that is. It is, hi, this is Carla, she's back here with numbers, and you know, this is what she does. That's one thing, and if that's the direction we'll do that. If you want the jobs, use those items in your folder, that's something else. And if you want them, that's also something. But those are different, and I think perhaps that's a piece of the confusion is Carla as the finance person versus the job description of the finance director are not necessarily more into one. I can meet those, I mean, perform those job duties, but you know, I can live 50, so that's what's in my job description. So, and so my profile page to say, oh, maybe you're required to live 15 pounds on my page.
I think if you give a nice summary of what you do, the people want to know why it's top heavy in the office here, they really do. And then also, could be nice, down the direction, and but it would also be nice to just have the complete list of qualifications and recommendations, or qualifications and requirements for that position, and the job description, maybe in a different location.
Okay, so you're saying, your motion then is two separate.
Right. I will amend my motion to have a staff, under each staff member, a summary of what their job is, a summary of their day-to-day duties or job description. And then in a different location.
I would disagree. I would disagree with putting names to that. I think a job description needs to be a job description, and anyone who fills that job follows those guidelines, because those positions, those people change. So I disagree that the staff member's name needs to be attached to a job description.
Have their name and picture on there, so it would just be a summary of, she's the finance director, and she does the accounting.
It doesn't need a name. You just say finance director, and this is the job description.
They don't need,
Maintenance director, and this is his job description. I don't think names should be attached. I'm just wondering if that's almost a violation of privacy.
I agree with Lorraine.
That's
I mean,
it. We can just post the job descriptions and the name of the titles, and then they're gonna see who the files are, so, and the qualifications.
But for how long they be good, because qualification and stuff, they change. They hire me and they can hire me to years ago, and it's not the same that they require now. So I mean, if you put it tomorrow, and I expect they give me the job because I need the documents today, and you say, oh no, we changed them so that you know, for people that want to work in some way. And
It's in the job description.
yes, what I say,
The job description can go through them.
yes, is what you say, but if you put one job description, and then you have to decide to change it in 6 months, and I want the one that you pay line, and when I came and asked for the job, you told me, oh no, but that's 6 months ago, so we have a new one, I'd be like, no, I want to how long they take. But same thing, you have their fee schedule. Once a year.
Okay, so I would like to amend that motion that we list the job descriptions and qualifications in the website under the staff tab, or
Employment tab.
share employment tab. That's a good place. Yeah.
I believe that the job descriptions and qualifications should be available to the public, but I don't see the necessity of putting it on the website because it's a moving target. It's changing all the time. And, you know, it might be what we've posted on the website, that if it's changed, somebody holds us, accountable for what's on the website. If we didn't make the change, then that kind of leaves us vulnerable. I think it ought to be available to the public. If you come in and you want a copy of it or something like that, But I think, you know, the employee handbook should be on the website, but not the job description and qualifications. I believe that should be available to public, upon request.
Work the business hours that they're here. It's really accessible to get online and print them out or view them and.
Well, and people looking for jobs, if we have jobs listed, you know, that are open, they're gonna wanna know what the job description is.
If we have an open position that we are, that is posted, the job description would be posted at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I agree with Gary. I think that, when you start putting, I'm all for transparency and openness, but when you start putting, items that change, you start losing, track of where all they are being stored and what all needs to be, changed, and I think that it's much easier, if someone is interested in a particular job description that's not open, or position that's not open, they can send an email and ask for it, you know, so that they can get it with, you know, or they could, you know, if they're available during business hours, they can come in and get it. I think that that's a much more efficient use of staff time. We've got a small staff to begin with, and I think there are a lot of other things that they should be focusing their time on.
What does other towns do? Do they have it on the website?
Some do. Some have just a summary under their.
According to Rangeley, Craig, Beaker, Dinosaur, I mean, what do they have? Most municipalities have on there what the job duties are, a general job description. I don't know any job where somebody does the same thing as the job description, especially in a small area. You always fill in wherever you have to fill in, but there is always a general job description of that position. And qualifications needed for that position. Right.
And that they don't, I think the general job summary doesn't include, you know, like a profile of the staff, you know, this is who I am and what I do. It says what I do, it doesn't say what, like, why I'm qualified to do this job necessarily, unless you're an attorney or something like that.
So you could do that if you wanna have your LinkedIn profile linked to underneath your picture on the, you know, site or whatever. That's kind of that. Your qualification is really kind of go there. Duties and responsibilities for sure. You can just have 3 lines and say, hey, I take out the trash at 8 o'clock.
Okay, let's get that motion and let's get Attorney Scarberry's update, please.
Just a quick update for y'all, since I know this has dragged on for a while. Just some follow-up. At the last executive session, you know, we received direction on extending a settlement offer to Market Optimist Communications. I sent a letter with the settlement proposal and have yet to hear anything back. But once we do hear something back, I will update the board on how that settlement is proceeding. And that is all I have for the board tonight.
Thank you. Monthly staff updates and questions.
Good job, guys, on clearing snow.
Yes, thank you. That was crazy.
You guys get snow?
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah.
Gary.
Didn't snow in Texas or in California.
No, in North Carolina. Didn't last long, but.
We should be back here soon. Yeah.
What are we doing out Buzzard Creek Road?
That Laramie.
Yeah, the state equipment and regular.
No, it's town owned property. Right at the end of the
Our
road.
fire mitigation.
Probably, I don't know, that's what I'm asking, they're cutting all the nice apricot trees and really pissed me off. John C. apples, pretty like. Trees, those are really old apricot trees. And walking down.
Fire mitigation.
I didn't have to cut them all down, trim them.
I certainly ask them where they're at with it, see if we can get them to stop chopping them down.
There's too many.
Okay,
Trustee information or items for future agenda. Is there any way to get a redacted list of the amount of tickets or some sort of summary from the sheriff's department of what's going on? Because the speed is still not, seems to be enforced, and there's a lot of complaints. Is there tickets being issued? There are. Okay. Is there any way to get a redacted list available, or?
I don't know, I can ask the sheriff's office for a report.
Okay.
I don't know that they're going to give them a list of it. They have written a list of contacts they've made,
Right.
but they did say they would give us a report, so I'll ask them for the next.
Like, or a summary of how many tickets were listed, or how many tickets were issued, and what's being done. Okay, public correspondence. Upcoming meeting dates, January 7th, 2025, regular board meeting at 6 p.m. and January 21st for work session. Do we have a subject for that work session? No, this time. Okay, all righty. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Really quick, I want to say thank you to the sheriff for, thank you very much for clarification on. On that, so thank you very much. I would also like to thank Jimmy for getting the, signs made by Carol Clark on the speeding. I still requested a sign going east and west. Still have a problem with speeding there, certain people. So I wanted to thank her for her due diligence on that, so thank you.
Teresa's thanking you, Jenny. I don't know if
Oh,
you can hear.
Thank you very much. You're very welcome. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't know if you heard her. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn.
I second. We have a vote, Jenny?
You got it. That was quick. Trustee Evans,
Yes.
Trustee Winkleblack,
Do we have to? Oh, okay. Yes.
Tinker. Okay, Trustee Zentz,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Price, and Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passed and meeting adjourned at 9:13 p.m.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I want to say,
Oh, I'm just checking out here.
All right. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Carla. Do you need anything more from me tonight? Okay. Have a good night.
And then